What's up, everybody? This is Comedian Token for Lateral Grip. We're talking Phoenix. We're talking racing. I'm talking, I had some technical malfunction, so I had to fix some stuff up in here. So sorry I'm getting this out to you late, but here we go with it. So let's talk Phoenix. Let's talk real quick. Let's talk about some headlines last week. If y'all saw some of my shorts on my various social medias, Token Comic on Instagram, Token Comic on TikTok, and of course here on the YouTube, you saw talking about Cletus McFarland. Cletus McFarland got a deal with RCR. It's a three race deal. Sounds like 2 years, three races for each year. However, he hasn't necessarily been approved by NASCAR. This is in the O'Reilly series. Now, if you remember right, lap 4 of Daytona Craftsman truck race, he wrecked. He wrecked all by himself. Luckily, he didn't take out any other vehicles, but he wrecked all by himself. So a lot of people looked at that as like, well, you're not ready, man. You're not even close to ready. Like, what's going on with the approval process for NASCAR? What's really happening here? And Cletus McFarland took that as a step to say, okay, I made some mistakes. I got some learning to do. And RCR took it as an opportunity to say, we can teach you, sir. And in the process of teaching you, we're gonna go ahead and gain a lot more respect because of all your millions of followers. And that's exactly what RCR did. RCR went to Cletus McFarland and they said, hey, man, we want to give you a three race deal, but you got to provide the sponsor. And Cletus made probably a couple of phone calls. I don't think it was very much. And next thing you know, Thomas Express Car Wash came on board, and bam, here we go. Deal is done. Now, Cletus has already expressed that he's done quite a bit of sim time. He's been able to overlay his times with Jesse Love's and see the difference in how Jesse Love drives compared to other folks. And Jesse Love's a fantastic driver, but let's be honest, Jesse Love uses a whole lot of brake when he gets in the corner. So that's something that Cletus you're going to want to be mindful of because you want to save those brakes for later in the race. So just kind of keep that part in mind there. But Cletus is going to go into the O'Reilly series. He is going to be at Rockingham in a few weeks here. And he is going to be driving that particular car for RCR. And that is essentially his audition for NASCAR to give him the opportunity to run Talladega. Cletus wants to run super speedways. That's his mindset. He wants to run super speedways. That's where he feels like he's going to be the most comfortable. And so that's what he's got to get qualified for. That's what he's got to get approved for by NASCAR. Once again, a lot of people in the NASCAR community not necessarily happy, but then again, when is anybody ever really truly happy anyway? So, with that being said, Cletus, hey man, you did your thing. You built your following. You've created uh, yeah, you've created a following. I'm trying to say what I'm trying to say here. I can't come up with it, but I'm just gonna throw some applause your way here. Excuse me. Because you took your social media mindset and you created a job from it. So congratulations on that. And yeah, hopefully you do well. Hopefully the naysayers go away. But we know you got a lot to learn. So I'm going to tell you, like I was telling Corey Day, who still has a lot to learn, even though he's a phenomenal race car driver. Man, just be mindful and be respectful. That's all there is to it. You realize you don't have to win every lap and realize that it's a long race. As long as you keep those things in mind, you'll probably be just fine. You don't need to get everything out of the car going out the gate. You just need to prove that you have some respect on the track and you can get some respect on the track. And I think you'll be just fine with that. So that is that. Another in the news topic we're going to talk about Alex Bowman was not in the 48. Remember, he got out at Coda. He got out of the car at Coda and was substituted by Myatt Snyder, probably the only guy left on the track with his helmet bag ready. So Myatt Snyder gets in the car and he runs some laps for the 48 car there. The next week, which is Phoenix, he's not in the car again, talking about Alex Bowman. Instead, now Anthony Alfredo, who is the relief Hendrick driver, is in that car. Well, now this week, coming into Las Vegas, it is said once again, Alex Bowman will not be in the car, but this time Justin Allgaier will be in that car. So Justin Allgaier is going to be in that car this week, and we'll have to see what's going to happen going forward with that 48 team. Hopefully, Alex, hopefully you're all right, man. Hopefully, things aren't too bad, and this is just a passing thing in the wind, and hopefully it doesn't affect you. Because I know it seemed like you were out a couple of years ago at Hendrick, and you bounced back and stayed in that ride, and it seems like you're probably going to be on that uphill battle again. Unfortunately, hopefully it's more of just a battle of keeping your job and not a battle of keeping yourself healthy and alive. So, with that being said, Alex, we'll give you all the best there. Give you those little prayer hands, I guess, and we'll just kind of leave that at that. So again, that's basically our NASCAR news right now. Let's get into Phoenix. Phoenix Raceway this past weekend, we had three races. We had IndyCar, and we had the O'Reilly Series, and we had the Cup Series. Now, IndyCar was on Saturday. The O'Reilly Series was after IndyCar on Saturday, and followed by the Cup Series that was on Sunday. Now, I'm not really a big avid watcher of IndyCar. I watch the Indy 500. I'm back and forth when it comes to IndyCar. Nothing against IndyCar. I'm just back and forth. It's just what it is. But this time around, I wanted to watch the race. I wanted to see what they were doing. First, I wanted to see if they were gonna cut the dog leg, which obviously that didn't happen. So that's pretty funny there. In fact, it was funny how much they commentated on what would happen if they cut that dog leg in an Indy car. So that was pretty entertaining to listen to. When it came to that, it was entertaining to watch the broadcast on how they talked about the different phrases for different things. For instance, the paddock is what IndyCar calls the basically where they start. The starting grid, the pit road. Pit road. We call it pit road. They call it the paddock. Things like that. Right. One funny one for me was James Hinchcliffe, who is a commentator and in fact was in the Truck Series at Coda. They commented as in IndyCar he's known as James Hinchcliffe. In NASCAR he's Jimmy Hinch. Makes sense to me. But so those were some fun nuances there, and this was a fun race to watch for IndyCar. This was a blast. What was fun about this was the amount of passing, the amount of off throttle time the Indy cars had to have in order to make the lap, in order to make the corners. That was fun to watch. What was interesting to watch, however, was the rules. Um, and I'm going to go more the unwritten rule because IndyCar has spotters, just like NASCAR. IndyCar has spotters, but in IndyCar, the unwritten rule is now again, this is they race more road, not road course. They race more, well, yeah, road courses. They race more road courses than they do ovals. In IndyCar, if the car behind is coming up on the outside and they get a wheel inside, they respectfully are supposed to let off and let that car in that they were trying to pass because they didn't get far enough in. That is the respect that was told that was given according to the commentators, and I'm going to go into why that is here in just a second. But that is what was being said. Now in NASCAR, if you get a nose in there, your spotter's saying outside, 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 or inside, 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 trying to let you know that you've got a car on your inside or outside, and you better be mindful of it. Don't drift up, don't drift down, because you're going to end up collecting each other, and there's going to be a problem. In IndyCar, it seems like the spotters don't necessarily mention that as much because of that respect of, okay, that car on the outside is gonna, or that's coming in on the outside is gonna realize that they don't have the room, they're gonna back off, and everybody's gonna be fine. I think, just my opinion, that this week the NASCAR way of doing things kind of rubbed off on IndyCar because you saw it more than once. In fact, Alex Palou, multi-year champion, in fact, held the championships for several weeks, for a few years. Actually lost the championship for the first time, lost the championship lead. He hasn't lost the championship, but lost the championship lead. He got on the outside of Renus VK. Renus VK is this gentleman's name. Got on the outside of Renus VK, had his wheel on the outside, basically wheeled to the back wheel of Renus VK's car, and Renus VK continue to move up the track, hits Alex Palou. Alex Palou smashes into the wall. Alex Palou's day is done. The commentators say that this was Renus's fault because, or no, they say this was Alex's fault because, let me think about this. Scratch that. Let's reverse that. Renus VK was coming up on the outside of Alex. That's what it was. Renus VK was coming on the outside of Alex. So Renus VK was behind Alex, Alex Palou. He comes up on that outside. Again, wheel to wheel, meaning back wheel, front wheel. Um, According to IndyCar, Renus should back off to allow for Alex to continue further, to finish his corner, and Renus should try again for the pass at another time because he wasn't there yet. Well, in this case, what happens is Alex Palou keeps coming up the track. According to the radio, I don't know this 100% for fact, but I haven't seen anything any different. His spotter never said outside, never said that that car was outside or um, anything. He didn't communicate anything to Alex, so Alex didn't assume that there was a car out there. And Alex continued up the track and eventually taps Renus. Alex noses into the wall, smashes his car. Renus continues on with some damage, some laps down. But this is what happens. Now, Alex's interview, he didn't really blame himself. He didn't really blame Renus. He just said he just didn't know he was out there. And he said that's racing. So great job on Alex's part. Um, the commentators had a lot to say about this, feeling like this was definitely Renus's fault. Renus was this one who was supposed to know and he was supposed to back out. However, as the race continues on throughout the day, this has happened several more times. Now, again, this is where I say that whole rubbing off on NASCAR thing because what I see is these drivers getting the outside or getting to the inside of a driver just barely and saying, I'm not lifting. This is my spot. I'm coming to get it. And that hopefully their spotter said something at that point. There was one other accident that was a pretty important one that would go along these lines. But that was pretty much itself. It felt like that was pretty much the rules of the night. And maybe that's the new rule in IndyCar now, respect wise, because again, the unwritten rule was different, but racers often change and evolve, and they might look at this as like, hey, spotter, I need you to pay attention if somebody's on my outside, or if I'm headed up there, I need to know their spotter told them I'm there because from now on, this is how we're going to go get these spots. That's racing, right? So, congrats on that. So, with that being said, Rasmussen, man, he was running away with this thing. He was all over the place. Now, again, in IndyCar, much like any other form of motorsports, pit road, paddock, um, has major importance. When you pit, how you pit, the amount of tires you have left, the amount of fuel in your car, all of these things make a difference from a strategy standpoint on how well you do in the race. Rasmussen, though, seemed like he had the right strategy and he was not putting it down, knocking them down. I mean, he was passing cars all over the place. He was passing cars pretty risky a lot of times, but that also makes for a great show as well. However, that did catch up with him as he was passing Will Power. This is kind of the same thing I was talking about. He goes to the outside of Will Power there. Will Power doesn't relinquish the spot. Don't know whether he was told he was outside or not. And Will Power ends up knocking Rasmussen up in the fence. And while Rasmussen didn't completely destroy his car, it didn't help his car. It hurt his car. And eventually he was overtaken. That's another term they use in Indy cars, overtaken, not pass, but overtaken. When you overtake another driver. But he was overtaken. And eventually the race winner would be the Penske driver of Joseph Newgarden. Joseph Newgarden wins that race. By the way, his teammate Malukas was on the front row of the race, and I'm going to go ahead and give you the breakdown here. Let's see. Yeah, Christian Rasmussen is who I was talking about there. So 1 through 10, we have Joseph Newgarden, Team Penske, Kyle Kirkwood, David Malukas, Pato O'Ward, Marcus Armstrong, Alexander Rossi, Scott Dixon, Scott McLaughlin, Graham Rahal and Kyphon Simpson in the top 10. Now there were some like I said, Christian Rasmussen, even with him not running as well after he did make contact and really bent up some stuff on that car, he still finished 14th in the race. A really cool thing to watch. Dennis Auger of Dale Coyne Racing, he turned sideways. Somehow, I don't know how the car behind him missed him, but he turned sideways directly into the inside wall. And what an amazing ability of car control he had. This is a replay you're going to want to go back and watch. You could probably Google Dennis Hogger save because as he's turning sideways, he drops it into neutral. Well, let me phrase that. He steps on the gas pedal instead of slamming on the brake, which doesn't cause the car to lock up. Drops it in neutral, flips it in reverse, and spins around and drives backwards down the raceway as caution obviously comes out, and then spins it back around and continues on without hitting anything. That was pretty cool to see. Don't know if he could do it again. Don't know if many people could do that, but he did it, and he saved a $200,000-300,000 car there. And so I know Dale Coyne Racing was highly thankful of that move that he made there, and that was really cool. So, with that being said, IndyCar, NASCAR, once again side by side, the same weekend. Remember the weekend before? It was the Craftsman Truck Series and IndyCar on the streets of St. Petersburg. That was fun to watch. I did say that the truck race, I felt like was 20 laps too long. In my opinion, it was strictly my opinion because it wasn't the popular opinion. So cool. I love the fact that people had an opinion on that and they really did enjoy that Craftsman Truck race. So that was really cool too. But for me, I felt like it was a little long. But going back to this last weekend, with Phoenix Raceway and now the Cup Series and the IndyCar, because IndyCar is the premier series, Cup Series is the premier series in NASCAR. I think it was very cool that they were back to back together. I did hear something that was really interesting, that IndyCar didn't allow NASCAR hard card holders in the paddock pit area garages when they were there. Kind of like it was some proprietary information that they wanted to keep secret or something like that. That was pretty interesting to me because it seemed like that would have been a great opportunity to really mix and mingle and really just grow from a social media standpoint and all standpoints, just to see that intermingling there, and that didn't happen. So that was kind of frustrating. I hope they kind of work that out and figure out how they can make that a better future. I mean, I feel like if you have a hard card, your hard card should get you anywhere throughout the weekend, whether it's Indy or NASCAR. I don't know if IndyCar calls their card a hard card, which is the credentials that you have to be able to go anywhere in Indy. But in NASCAR, it's called a hard card, and you can take that card and you can go anywhere with it, except apparently when IndyCar was using the facility. So that was kind of interesting. That information that I heard, but with that being said, it was obviously a very successful weekend for IndyCar. They had a lot of fun watching the NASCAR series, and I say series as in O'Reilly's and Cup, and both O'Reilly's and Cup had a great time watching IndyCar as well. So speaking of that, we are going to go to the O'Reilly series now. Now the O'Reilly series. The GovX 200 there. This was a fun race to watch. Now again, we're back to NASCAR. We're cutting the dog leg off. We're smashing it down in there. Trying to get 3, 4, 5, 6 wide. This was a fun race to watch. Now, there were some incidents, not a whole lot of incidents in this race, but there were some incidents. Carson Kvapil had a really strong showing in this race. In fact, it really looked like for a long time he was the guy to beat. Jesse Love, same thing. Him and Jesse Love seem to be going back and forth quite a bit in this race. And it really kept it fun. It really kept it interesting. There was a lot of passing, a lot of off throttle time. And this is really what makes NASCAR great, is the off throttle time when you have to get off the gas to make the corner, because this really shows what drivers can do and how their ability works and who can roll the corner better, what car setups mean, and that sort of thing. So going back to the O'Reilly's race here. Here we go. Lap 63, LeVar Scott. He spins. Nice shower of sparks. It looked pretty. Didn't really damage anything in there. However, lap 163, he spun again. He didn't really have the greatest showing that day. Um, there was a multi-car crash, pretty much involving JGR, William Sawalich, Brandon Jones, Taylor Gray. It looked like Brandon Jones well, it looked like Sawalich had smashed into Brandon Jones, and then when they went sideways, they ended up taking up um, yeah, they ended up taking up Taylor Gray there. And then we got Sammy Smith, Ryan Sieg. Ryan Sieg has struggled this so far this season, and that's a bummer. It's a two-car team. It's a lower funded team. He needs to get out of here without damaging some cars. You know, uh, that's been a struggle this year. Hopefully they figure out the place and make it better. But right now that's where it's at. Blaine Perkins, he was also caught in the accident, and he's been having pretty solid weeks too. Um, that was pretty much the main accidents in this one. But again, as I pointed out before, Jesse Love, Carson Quapple, they're back and forth throughout the race. Towards the end of the race, Sheldon Creed gets up in there. He's mixing it up. Now we've got three-way battles back and forth for the lead. Well, when the big crash happens, uh, you know, pit road gets jumbled up, right? People do different strategies, people go different ways. Justin Allgaier, who has been known as Mr. Phoenix in the past, who really hadn't shown all day, all of a sudden shows up. And not only did he show up, he showed out. When he got out front, he was gone. As soon as he was able to get past those cars, and he made some pretty strategic moves to make that happen, but I think he knows Phoenix really, really well. But as soon as he was able to get past, he was able to get gone. Basically, it was kind of like SVG back at Coda in the O'Reilly series. When SVG wasn't really up front or mixing it up all day, but when it came time to go, SVG got the lead and he was gone. That was similar to Phoenix in this respect. The Justin Allgaier, Mr. Phoenix, once again came out. Wasn't really a surprise when he won, but it was surprising when he came to win, I guess, so to speak, because he didn't seem like he was in the mix. He just seemed like he was there, but he wasn't in the mix. So when it was time to go, though, he was ready to make it happen. He was ready to show you, hey guys, I wasn't showing my hand all day. So congratulations to Justin Allgaier for that race and for doing well there and getting that win. And again, once again, Justin Allgaier will be in the 48 car for Hendrick Motorsports this week here at Las Vegas. So there you go. Justin Allgaier will be in that car too. So now we have our top 10 in the O'Reilly's race. Justin Allgaier, Jesse Love, Carson Quaffle, Sheldon Creed, Sam Mayer, Sammy Smith, Jeb Burton. Jeb, so they've got a new alliance, and it seems like this alliance is really paying off for them. They've been able to. These are the tracks where you start to feel like, do I have the horsepower? Do I have the handling? Do I have the car that can get the job done? Jeb was in the top 10 all day, if not in the top five. Jeb was always up there, battling, maintaining, and he had a car that he could move around with and do things with that he wasn't afraid to be out of control with, and that's important, right? I mean, when you're a lower level car, you may be able to get up there and mix it up, but one little slight move that somebody else can make no problem may completely destroy your car. And so Jeb had a car that he could keep control of. So he had a solid finish in seventh place. Rajah Caruth comes back in eighth. Corey Day, quiet day for Corey Day. Congratulations, Corey Day. It was a quiet day for you. That was important. You needed that quiet day. And then Anthony Alfredo, who was in the 48 car last week, who won't be in it this week, he finishes 10th in the O'Reilly series. Now, there were some notables. William Byron, he was in the race, obviously Cup Series regular. He was in the race. He finished 13th. Wasn't really in the mix all day, when it came down to it. So his car obviously just wasn't there. And then Taylor Gray, who was the pole sitter ends up finishing the race 15th. That is our rundown for O'Reilly's. So we're going to go ahead and get into the last race of the weekend, which is the Cup race. And I'm looking for some more segments to add to this podcast, guys. So if you could tell me what you're looking for, what you'd like to see, and give some reviews. I'd love to hear some reviews on the podcast. And I got to do something about this wall back here. I'm starting to realize it's way too blank. So we're gonna have to do something about that. I forewarn I may have to bring out some old posters I made from my old NASCAR stuff, but we'll talk about that another time. But let's get into this cup race here. We had the cup race there in Phoenix, the Straight Talk Wireless 500. Now this particular race here, short track package. Now what's changed in the cup car for the short track this year? 670 horsepower is now 750 horsepower. 80 more horsepower in the cup cars, softer tires. What was everybody screaming about for the past couple of years? Soften up the tire, give us more horsepower. NASCAR did it. And it's made a difference, a huge difference. Off throttle time, tire degradation. Those things are what make racing racing because one car is not going to be exactly the same as the other one. One throttle trace, and I say trace because they still use that data. I don't even know if it's called SMT anymore. I think they got rid of that. But that data, you can look at the data of one driver to the next, and I mean I can't, but the driver of the 10 car can look at the driver of the 43 car who aren't even affiliated together, or the 18 car, they can look at their throttle traces and see exactly how they get in the corner. They step on the throttle, they step on the brake, the steering inputs. They can look at all of that data, which I don't think should be allowed. But it's they open the door, it's not going to close now. But with that being said, you can look at all the data in the world, but if you can't emulate the data, if you feel like your car can't make that data work, because you're not looking at the setup of the car next to you, or the setup of a car from a different manufacturer or something like that, or even a different team, but you can look at how they use that setup, meaning that how they use that car, that the throttle, the braking, so on and so forth. So keeping those things in mind, we have we have Tyler Reddick going for a 4-peat. Now, that's a feat in itself. He already got 3. Michael Jordan was at the track, because Michael Jordan, he don't want to be the reason why they don't win. So, to go 4. So Michael Jordan was at the track. Um, It was a good race. It was a good race. There was a lot of off throttle. There was a lot of passing. There was a lot of 6, 7 wide, going through the dog leg. There were now there were a lot of cautions. There was 12 cautions for 86 laps in this race. Lap 103, Chase Elliott, Daniel Suarez get into it. Chase Elliott pretty much gets the brunt of that one. Damages his car pretty badly. Those guys are pretty much not going to be seen anymore throughout that day. Lap 132, Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe has had a rough start to this season. After starting outside P2 on the Daytona 500, he has struggled since then. He had hard contact with the wall after reporting that he had a vibration, and that pretty much ended his day right there. Damaged his car pretty badly. Now, here's the one to really talk about. Lap 155. Now, NASCAR has made it clear, has made an effort to not throw the caution as much this year, to let it play out, to unless it's a major safety concern. If you can get back to pit road, if you can get spun back around quickly, if you're not sitting, broadside in the middle of the track where someone can smash into you head on, or T-bone you essentially, they're not going to throw the caution, which is great. As long as they do that for everybody, that's fine. However, in this case, lap 155, Noah Gregson, he smashes the wall, and in the process of smashing the wall, there's pieces of brake rotor that are shattering all over the track. Now, the yellow flag did actually come out for this one. essentially, as Noah was trying to get it back down because Noah was pretty much was pretty much stuck in the top there once his car hit the wall the way it did. However, what happened was 4 or 5 cars back to back to back to back ran over that brake debris. Remember that rotor shattering essentially on the track. They ran over that debris and immediately flat tire. There was like 4 or 5 flat tires instantly in a row. I mean, you were just the camera kept panning to another car. This car's got a flat tire. This car's got a flat tire. This car's got a flat tire. It was almost like they were in the Oprah Winfrey audience from several years ago. I know we still talk about that, but hey, what can you say? But anyway, so this ended up being a multi-car incident, not against each other, but because there was a lot of damaged tires and there was a lot of cars that ended up having to go to the rear, essentially because they had blown a tire based on the Gregson wreck there. Lap 216, Austin Cindric. He gets into an accident, basically blows a right front, and completely destroys that car. Lap 217, lap 216 was really a part of this as well. So lap 216, when Austin Cindric gets, he ends up getting this wreck that he does, it ends up taking out a couple of other cars, including Anthony Alfredo, who was subbing in the 48. Anthony Alfredo actually got a bit airborne in this wreck, so I know that was a hard crash for Anthony. So Anthony, hope you're feeling better on that one. Lap 253, Joey Logano, Josh Berry. Joey Logano, so he started on pole, if I'm not mistaken. But he did not have the race that he was looking for. His car just seemed to be mired towards the middle. Didn't seem to be keeping up the way it was. And I mean, Joey Logano just ended up taking out Penske. I mean, he took out Josh Berry. He hit Austin Cindric. Joey Logano had a rough Sunday that day, and it just kind of was what it was there. Lap 254, Dana Suarez, kind of the same thing. It's along the same lines of the same accident. Really only considered lap 254 because Dana Suarez made another lap in the damage that he was essentially. 293, Kyle Larson, Ty Gibbs. Now, Kyle Larson and Ty Gibbs, they were battling for the lead. Ty had a strong race, a strong showing in this race, and they were battling for the lead. And they just let me see something here. I want to look at something. Let's see. Okay. So so they were battling for the lead, and they got into each other a little bit. Now, again, remember in NASCAR, it's going to dictate on what lap you're on. But if you've got a car to your inside or outside, your spotter's going to say something. Quarter, half, clear, door, bumper, whatever, they're going to give you some indications on where these cars are. In this case, they didn't, that didn't really happen. These guys were fighting out for the lead. And I'm not saying it happened. I'm saying they weren't lifting at this point. This was lap 3, this was lap 293. So Ty Gibbs and Kyle Larson ended up getting into a little bit. And the reason why they were is simple. Blaney was coming. Blaney was fast. Blaney was fast all day. Blaney had problems throughout the race, had to go to the back more than once, and drove back up through the field to reclaim the top spot. I mean, Blaney was just fast. Now, Christopher Bell, he was fast as well. Now, Christopher Bell won this race last year. So Christopher Bell, he knew what he knew what he was doing. He knew what he had to do in this race, and he was doing as much as he could to get it done. But Ryan Blaney was a class of the field. There's no question about that. So let's see. So as far as our finishers, top 10, we have Ryan Blaney, again, Team Penske. He wins the race. Christopher Bell second, Kyle Larson third, Ty Gibbs fourth. So even though those two got into it a little bit, it wasn't caution worthy, but they did finish third and fourth in this race. Denny Hamlin gets his first top 5 of the season. Denny Hamlin has struggled up to this point, so Denny Hamlin's got some work to do, and he knows that. Bubba Wallace was towards the back most of the day. Definitely had some issues. If you look at some pictures of Bubba Wallace's car after that race, that thing was all smashed up on the sides, and he come back for a solid sixth place finish. Got a big old hug from Michael Jordan because you know, persevered and continued to get the job done and finished in sixth place. William Byron seventh, Tyler Reddick eighth. So wins the first three, and the fourth one he finishes in the top 10. Still a pretty solid showing. Still number one in points. Michael McDowell ninth. Eric Jones finishes in 10th. Eric Jones, that was a good finish for Legacy Motor Club. Hopefully, there's more to come for them as this season progresses. Now, going back to Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney, you do get, instead of just getting your 5 playoff points and essentially 10 extra points or 5 extra points as you did last year, going for playoffs. Essentially, now it's season points, it's regular season points going to the chase, and this is where these commentators and podcasters got to realize it's no longer a playoff; it's a chase now. So unless they're calling it a playoff and I'm missing something, maybe I'm the one who's wrong. Maybe you can correct me on that, but I believe it's once again called the chase. But going back to that, Ryan Blaney did get 25 points. Ryan Blaney is now second in points behind Tyler Reddick. However, Bubba Wallace only dropped one spot. He's still third in the regular season championship points in the fourth race. Now, why are we talking points? Well, they're already believing that if you're not top three in regular season points, you're probably not going to win the championship. So that's going to be interesting to see. Once again, if you remember right, I have already predicted that we will know who the champion is before the last race of the season. It's going to be done. It's going to be over with, and I'm still going to stick by that. And especially the way these cars are running now, it might even be the second to last race that we've already crowned the champion, and we'll just be waiting to go to Homestead, Miami, which is where it's at this year, to actually hand them the trophy. So, with all that being said, great racing at Phoenix. That was a fun weekend of racing to watch. We are off to Las Vegas, first mile and a half of the season. This is going to be a fun race, fun track. Cup Series is going to be there. I believe the O'Reilly Series is there as well. I'm not 100% sure on the trucks. There's not going to be IndyCar there, though. So we're going to be back to essentially our NASCAR schedule again. And man, who knows what's to come. Some cars that we just got to watch for, though. Kyle Busch, again, I'm a fan, but man, the 8 car has not been good this year. Now, the 3 car hasn't been much better. Talking about RCR, Richard Childress Racing. Now, because both cars haven't been that good, I gotta believe it's more car than driver. So I'm gonna hang my hat on the fact that Kyle could get it done if he was in the right equipment or the right setup or something to that fact. I hope it's not Kyle is the detriment and Kyle can't help the team get any better. I hope that is not the fact. Kyle, man, I'm still rooting for you, man. We'll put them praise hands out again. Yeah, those are the things to watch because they're already definitely really behind the 8 ball, and it's sad and frustrating to look at the television screen and see that your driver is already barely in the top 20 or hanging out outside the top 20 because he can't go anywhere with the car. Because believe me, the broadcast, they're not talking about him if that's the case. Okay. So with that being said, that is lateral grip. That is lateral grip week 4. It's in the books. We're headed to Las Vegas. I'm excited for this racing, first mile and a half. And I'm going to tell you all, as I tell you before, I'm looking for a sponsorship. I'm looking for people that want to be involved in this. I'm looking for guests. If you know somebody who'd love to be a guest on this show, I would love for you to be a guest on my show. Let's add some more content to it. Continue watching my shorts. Check me out on Instagram, Token Comic. Check me out on all my social medias, really, Token Comic. And until next time, stay smooth, stay fast, and keep that right foot pedal on the floor. See y'all.